Welcome to the RePsychled Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts,
Dr. LaFonya Jones,
Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is down to earth, informative, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up the volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 41. I got what you want.
I got what you want.
I got what you need.
It's the first thing that comes to mind.
I know. Okay, interns. So if you're wondering what this is actually about, we are going to be talking about His Needs, Her Needs by Willard Harley Jr. And we're going to be talking about The 5 Love Languages by Chapman. Now, we may not go in order with his needs or her needs, because we're just going to kind of incorporate them into the 5 love languages.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't heard of the 5 love languages by now, what rock have you been sleeping under? Especially if you do any type of self-reflecting, self-awareness, love research.
Or if you're on social media, you
That
may
too.
not know exactly what they are, but people talk about them
Or who
all
created
the
it.
time.
Mm-hmm.
I know. You're not loving me from my love language.
All the time. Like, but do you even know what your love language is?
Right.
Did you take the test?
And please take the test. Don't just guess what it is because you think, oh, that fit me. Nope, that fit me, because you can see yourself in all of them, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So take the test.
Yeah, you got a little sprinkle of all 5 of them. But I was watching something on the TikToks, and this woman was talking about, tell me your love language and then I'll tell you where your trauma is.
Ooh.
I said, what you not gonna do is come on this TikTok and give me no therapy. And so she was, I can't remember what hers was, but somebody that responded to her, she said that hers was quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a fear of abandonment because everybody left her.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It do.
When you think of, especially quality time, you were likely neglected in some sort of a way, abandoned in some sort of way, or dismissed, in a different type of way. So I can completely understand that, when you're need starved in any area, just like if you were starved of food, when you finally get some, your mind is going to tell you to go overboard, even though you need to kind of slowly work your way into it.
Yeah.
Same thing with, kind of emotional needs. If you are deprived of support, concern, understanding, that kind of checking in, then when somebody finally gives it to you, that's where them trauma bonds come from.
It does. And it's weird because people don't pay attention to what they need.
Mm-hmm.
I had a client the other day who we were working on some trauma stuff, and I asked her to identify what makes her feel safe, and she couldn't do it. And so then she started reminiscing on some time she had with certain family members, and it was a particular family member that she identified and was saying how some things that she did for her and for her cousins made her feel safe. And I said, so that means you need some people in your life that show up for you and make space for you. And she was like, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about your life and the history of your life, you can tell what you need by the people you have around you. But you also have to be careful with that, because some people you have around you don't need to be around you because they're not giving you what you need.
Mm-hmm. Because they may be satisfying a different one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like we spoke on one of the previous sessions. I can't remember if it was last week's or not, but when what was the point that I was just trying to make?
We were talking
guys.
about satisfying the need, a different need.
Oh yeah. So when you never mind. I just can't even remember now. It literally, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. It literally just flew right out of my head.
You took my chemo brain.
I did.
Hey,
Like,
it's
it'd be like that
I
sometimes.
know I had a good point and everything, and then it was like,
It'll come back to you while we're talking about something else. And you'd be like, you know what? When we was talking about that earlier, that's what's going to happen.
okay. All right. See,
Yeah.
players messed up too. It's all right. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think another point that is important for our interns to know is it's important for you to know your love languages from the perspective of what you want to receive, but it's also important to know what you give.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times I feel, and I could be wrong because I didn't write this, I feel that we give from a place of protection a lot of times, what takes the least from us. So I tend to, of course I give like physical, because that's just me, period. That's just the way I grew up. But I tend to give gifts to people, and I got like 0
Wow.
in gifts, like for myself personally that I want
to receive. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would.
I
Go
never
ahead.
thought about it from that perspective, but I do pay attention to my receiving and my giving. But I never thought about it from
in the way that you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're not always the same. Sometimes they are, of course, but a lot of times they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that.
Since we're like 6 minutes in, how about we tell everybody
What ours are?
what the 5 love languages are?
Oh.
That makes sense. That
No.
makes sense. They're like, what is y'all talking about?
They say y'all just on here just cackling and
We don't even know what y'all talking about yet.
mm-hmm. So, but like we were saying a little bit earlier, the 5 love languages does have a quiz. So if you just simply do your Googles and type in 5 love languages, it will take you to the link and the website, and there is a quiz on the website. The thing that I always tell people when they go, answer honestly. Nobody is over your shoulder pressuring you to respond a particular way. If you want to receive flowers and gifts, and if that really is important to you, it's okay to say that as you're answering the things. And I also tell people, when you're looking at the questions, think about, if this was not present in my relationship, would I be able to handle it?
And think about what you want now, because remember, we've told you all before that we change over time. So think about what you want now, not what you used to like, because that's not going to help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
Okay.
All right. So I guess we got to break them down a little bit more.
Yes.
So the first one, is words of affirmation. And this one, I feel like always gets a bad rap. There are 2 to get a bad rap all the time. And words of affirmation, people think it's just like compliments or showering your loved one with compliments. They know how I feel. Da-da-da. First of all, why you with the person if you don't want to give them what they need? That's the first thing.
Yes.
But secondly, they don't know, because like we've said in the past, nobody out here reading your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to put forth that effort. But, words of affirmations it means to speak kindly to the person that you are in relationship with. And these are not just romantic relationships. They can be other types of relationships, friends, family, coworkers, whatever. You need to make sure that the conversation is healthy. You need to make sure that you are capable of listening to the person that you are dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for the average person, when they hear words of affirmation, like you said, they think, you're so pretty, you're so, you're so wonderful, you're helpful, but they don't think about the different types, like,
Just showing appreciation.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a word of affirmation.
Or if you in the Black community, okay, polka dot, we notorious for saying something we not even
see you, player.
Yeah.
So that is a word of affirmation. Like,
Yeah.
it does not have to be this
Formal.
Dr. Strickland, your curls, they look extra elongated today. Thank you for gracing us with, like, it don't have to be all that.
Yeah. It's not so formal. And you probably do it more than what you realize. Even a high five,
Yeah.
It's still, even though it's not a word, it is an action that still portrays some sort of support, encouragement, and communicates to the other person, like, I see you.
because you have to remember, there's nothing wrong with admiring the people that you're around. It's nothing wrong with just helping them to feel like you adore them. Like, I want my friends to understand that I appreciate being in their presence and them being in my presence, and just us being able to spend time with each other and just adoring each other, admiring one another.
Now, this is one of mine, and we can talk about ours specifically at the end, but this is one of mine. And so a thing that I always tell people that I date is, when we talk about love languages, is that I don't need you to compliment me, because I really don't care one way or the other what you think about me when it comes to that. But it's more so, don't tear me down, because if you hurt me in an area of my love language, it's gonna bring out, we done talked about this, our other personalities, and I'm gonna be looking at you like, why are you talking to me like that? And I got to yoke you.
I feel you on that. One of the things that I used to tell fathers that have sons too, is that, well, especially daughters though, is that when you have a daughter, compliment her, tell her she's pretty, give her those words of affirmation, those types of words of affirmation, so that when she starts dating, she doesn't choose the first person that tells her she's pretty. Because that, if she's never heard it before, she's not used to it. Because my dad used to always call me princess, pretty, beautiful, and all of those things. So that was something that I was used to hearing. So when someone, tried to talk to me or get my number or something like that, and they said something like that, it wasn't like, oh my God, thank you, I appreciate you. You got to come up with some more game with that.
It goes back to what we've said before. Like, your parent is your first internal voice. And so if it's void, ain't nothing in there, the people that are your classmates and your first lovers and things like that, they are the ones that are going to have that first voice, because yours has not developed yet. So it is important that parents or authority figures and things like that feed positivity into, even if you're giving a correction, still feed positivity into the person.
It all goes to tone, body language, facial expressions. All of those things are important when you're using words of affirmation. If that's this person's particular love language, all of that comes into play, because I can say, you're so smart. And it doesn't have the same weight as you really tried very hard on that, man. You worked really hard. I'm proud of you. You did great. Look at you. Look at all that effort, man. You're so smart. That's very different. The person's going to receive it. So all of that matters, when the way you speak, what you say. And oftentimes people are going to look at the way you say something versus what you actually said. But two things are definitely still important together.
And it's because you have to understand, your friends need to, not only your romantic partners need to feel that appreciation and adornment and everything, your friends do too. There's been times that Dr. Strickland or myself will send each other a text just randomly, just, appreciating our friendship and stuff. And the other one will be like, well, I love you too, friend. Because we know that's what what we're saying. So it's important to do those types of things for both romantic and platonic friendships or relationships.
I totally agree with that.
I know that's something that I do a lot. What you were just describing. Because this goes back to, I definitely don't remember what session number, but I was talking about, like, I have a friend that I pre-schedule text messages for. Not because I don't want this person in my life, or, I have a problem with them or anything like that, but just kind of because of my background and, I don't want to say the way I was raised, because that sounds very negatively skewed towards my parents, but how I interpreted the way my parents raised me. Just contacting people is not something that comes to the top of my mind. So I do make sure that every now and then I will send something very specific, letting this person know kind of like what they mean to me and, kind of how they fit in my life, because I know it's not something that is going to come naturally for me to just do on a regular basis.
And plus it makes you feel good to give it and to hear it from other people.
And I actually recognize that a lot with my fiance. I would just send him a random text.
That's your husband, girl. I don't know why you trying to say that's your fiance.
Yeah, that's right. We did get married. my ring. I left my ring at home, so I forgot.
It's still new. It's still fresh.
So yes, my husband. Sorry. I send him random text messages, just kind of telling him how much of a man he is to me, and just appreciation. And he'll send me this wonderful meme, oh my God, with big eyes. Oh my God, I can't believe you said. He gets so excited by it that I know that that's something that he likes. So I try to make sure I give it to him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That vulnerability. That's what pops up. That kind of ties into the his needs, her needs stuff.
Absolutely.
And that goes with, what is it called? Intimate conversation, admiration, openness and honesty, like those parts of that particular book or that particular way to, structure your life. That's important. Those two things go together.
Yes. And those intimate conversations are very important. When you first start dating someone, you have those conversations.
Absolutely.
You have those intimate conversations, but somewhere down the line they leave. And I know a lot of women say that their significant other used to talk to them a lot, but now they just shut down. And the thing is, there could be a reason why. You definitely have to figure out why. Like, was something said or a reaction given that made him shut down, or that made him feel unsafe in the conversations that you all are having. Yeah. So that's something that if that's happening to you in your relationship, you may want to go back, because when you've been together for a long time, or it don't even have to be a long time, it's just you can have a conflict with your significant other. Things can be said, looks can be given, body language can be misperceived. So, you have to think about all of that when you're communicating.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would consider words of affirmation to be like an umbrella for intimate conversation, openness and honesty, and admiration.
Yeah.
I think those kind of expand on that term a little bit. Yeah. Because it's, intimate, like we were just saying, intimate conversation is like us really diving into something and picking it apart. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about problems. It could be because, I love to talk about the universe. Like that could be like, hey, let's talk about, do you believe in aliens? And do you believe we're the only, that's part. Hey, don't judge me.
No. We are not. When you said that though, my mind automatically went to the MCU.
Oh,
that's why I was laughing. Universes.
Yes.
Universes.
Yes.
Marvel.
Multiverses, string theory. Look, we can really get into it if y'all want to now. But that also is part of intimate conversation. It doesn't always have to focus on talking about your relationship. Because sometimes when clients hear that, we think you just need to talk about your relationship all the time. You always need to work at the problems. You always need, no, it literally could be something like, what were your dreams when you were a child versus your dreams now? And how do those two things compare to one another?
Yeah. And because even with my husband, he's an artist, but by his career right now is him being a truck driver, but by his gift, he is an artist. And I've been pushing him to get back into his painting and drawing and things like that. And I told him, I'm not surprised I married an artist, because I am so fascinated by the fact that he can do that. I stalk him.
Plus you're an artist.
True that.
You know what I mean? You're just in the physical form, with your body.
Yeah.
That is true. I never thought of it that way.
Your vocal cords.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. That makes sense.
True.
But the openness and honesty, just so we can kind of tighten up the words of affirmation one, is really being accurate and clear about what you're communicating.
And intentional. Sorry.
Throw it in there. So, if you are not doing that, as well as openness. So openness is you are not trying to hide things from your partner, friends, family, and doesn't mean you have to be an open book. This is not let you spill every single dark secret that you ever had.
Because some things need to go to the grave.
That is true.
It's the level of vulnerability you give your person. They don't want to feel like they having to pull things out of you, and you have to be okay with being a little uncomfortable, because I don't know anybody that, even if they're comfortable with their entire life, that vulnerability don't come up and like, ooh, and they like, let me go and get past it though.
Yeah. And with the openness, that's how you gain trust in relationships, because both of you are being open and honest, because that's a part of it too. Both of you are being honest and open with yourself.
Yeah. It gives you a foundation to build off of. Dang it. Sorry, guys.
We just knocked them down the table.
We promise we're not drunk in love up here.
Okay.
No.
And then the last one that we, kind of falls under that umbrella is admiration. And this is probably the closest one to words of affirmation, because it really is tied to how you speak to another person and, kind of how you communicate love. And, we've talked about support, encouragement, just that type of appreciation for another person or for self.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
So the next love language is quality time. And so quality time is going to be the undivided attention you give your significant other or loved one while y'all are doing something. I don't think it means you got to sit there and stare at them and y'all ain't doing nothing. So for me personally, that could be us literally being on the couch. Maybe he watching the game, I'm reading a book. That's us spending time together, intentional. For other people, it may need to be like a little bit more intense, or y'all might need to go and do something, ride bikes together, go work out together, go on a specific type of date, or
cook
something.
together. But quality time looks a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But I think some people just default to that. We're, on the couch together. I think you get one of two things when people think of quality time. We're on the couch together, just doing nothing, or it needs to be activity based. You don't see a lot of like gray.
Yeah.
When it comes to quality time. But it's important. And sorry guys. The thing with this one is not quantity.
No.
The love language is called quality time.
Yeah.
So just because you're around each other every single day, that does not mean that the time you're spending together is of quality and substance.
No. I think also an important part is to throw in there that this could also include those quality conversations we were talking about a moment ago. It doesn't mean that it has to be to the level of words of affirmation where y'all are only speaking about kind things, but you want to make sure that it is substantial, like you're really getting into the like meat and potatoes of your thoughts and your feelings and things like that. The vulnerability comes back up.
Yeah. When you
Go ahead.
When you were talking about giving and receiving love languages, quality time is my number one. Receiving.
Got you.
And anyone that's ever taken the Gallup Strengths Finder, you remember we did that a few years ago? My number one was relator, which is a direct line to quality time.
I think that's my number one. I can't remember. It's in my top 5.
It was in your top 5. So relator is all about you enjoy relationships, but you are very I don't want to say solitary, but like when you're with a person, you focus on that person.
Yeah.
You're not trying to like feel the room and like mingle and be with everybody. So if you came to the party, so if I go to a party with Dr. Wall, like I'm with Dr. Wall.
We go together.
Yeah. We go together. Like we at this party, I'm not really trying to be out like, oh, hey, and flitter around.
Not trying to let the woo out.
No. So this one is very close to quality time, that like when you are with this person, and again, that could be friend, family, co-worker. This does not always have to just be a romantic partner, but you and that person are together. You are connected in space and time, and you are really focused on whatever it is that you're doing in the presence of one another.
Yeah. I think with quality time, you have to determine what you need in that moment, because it's not going to look the same all the time. That you may one day want to sit on the couch and just do nothing because that's just your self-care that you need that day, but you also want to do it with your spouse or significant other or friend. Other days you may want to go work out, and that's what you need at that moment. So the quality time can change. I
like a point that you just made was self. You know, I think there is an aspect to all of these, whether it's the 5 love languages or his needs, her needs, that is directed at self, directed at others, and then directed at, you know, on a more macro level, like society as a whole. But, you know, if you're trying to engage in quality time, since that's what we're talking about right now, like you said, working out, going to the gym or something, or you taking yourself out to eat, or, you know, if you want to go pamper yourself, if you want to go read, you know, so that you can gain knowledge. I do think that those are very important pieces to being quality driven for you.
Yeah. It puts in the mind, and I'm going to say women do this. How we rope our significant others into watching some stupid show that they would never watch. And they be like, I don't really like that, but I do. And then they end up loving it. Because I can't tell you how many husbands I have heard talking about Bridgerton. Because their wife wanted to watch Bridgerton. And it was like, nah, she got to watch that with me. We watched that together. So, you know, that kind of thing pops up all the time. But also we want to make sure we keep connecting it to his needs, her needs. Some of those points would definitely be like family commitment. It would also be recreational companionship.
Those were the 2 that I was thinking for that one. So recreational companionship is pretty much what it sounds like. You know, we're going out, we're doing things, like we want to be involved in some sort of activity. And that could be, we're going to get into gardening, or we're going to get into rock climbing or hiking or bicycling, or we're going to try to learn new recipes. You know, you and whomever you with are really trying to engage in doing stuff and not just sitting still.
Yeah.
That's what keeps the relationship spicy, you know, because you are kind of just getting involved with different things that you would not have done in your single life.
Yeah, the growth.
Perhaps. Yes.
I think that's when people think about the spice is gone, it's because y'all have stopped growing together. Y'all have stopped like reaching forward to whatever is next. Instead, it's just like, oh, I got her. Oh, I got him. We good. We complacent now.
Right. Yeah. Relationships you can't get complacent with. Not even your friendships.
Exactly.
Friendships need work too.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't talk or we don't spend time, we're going to drift apart.
Yeah. We're not doing stuff together. We're not taking no trips together. I don't care if it's to the store.
Right.
Because we in a pandemic. But, you know, you gotta do life with the people that you claim to love, and quality, you know, time is one of those ways to connect and to be present with each other. It doesn't have to be like one of your top love languages, but it is necessary.
Yes.
Even if it's over the phone or, you know.
Yeah, because it doesn't always have to be in person. Agreed. So I watched this one documentary a few years ago, and it was called Happy. And it was all about the idea of happiness and how to achieve happiness. So just in reference to kind of tie it together with recreational companionship, in this documentary, they had some research that they found where the more quirky, interesting, like kind of off your typical norm of an activity you can do, the happier it tends to make you, the more memorable it is, and the more connected it can make you.
Okay.
So just like for example, a friend of mine and myself, we went to a 5K run a few years ago, and it was a mud run. And, you know, mud run is when, you know, they got mud everywhere, and it was like an obstacle course kind of thing, you know, so we had to like climb a wall and like go underneath these tires. And, you know, it was not just like, we're just going to run a 5K.
It was an obstacle course.
It was an obstacle course, you know, in the midst of being a 5K. And, you know, it's still a very memorable moment for me. Now, it's not something I would ever want to do again, because I realize as an adult, mud feels disgusting. But you don't know that, because, you know, it's been a long time since I played in the mud. And dirt is hard to get out of stuff. So I remember this activity, you know, and it did really, like, in the moment, it was like, okay, so I'm doing something fun. Like, this is fun. You know, it took away the monotony of what it could have been. And it you know, kind of boosts that endorphins, or, you know, I don't know, kind of internally specific, like neurotransmitters or whatnot, dopamine probably. but it really kind of solidifies the moment of what it was. So if you can, when you're trying to do things, especially if we're talking about romantic relationships and you're wanting to spark something again, try to find something that is outside of what you guys would typically do, so that creates a new memory path for you guys.
Yeah.
So what that sounds like, many Psych 101 lessons, is neuroplasticity. So that is we just gonna use a real aggressive word right now, excuse me, plowing more neural pathways in your brain. And typically things like exercise or happy moments or trauma is going to do that for you. And the more you do that on a consistent basis in the area of healthiness, the better your brain is able to cope with things
and
reshape. It's not going to get stuck. So that's why when people who have a traumatic experience, they have those flashbacks, they're literally stuck in the grooves of their brains and can't get out of it. So it's a flashback. So what Dr. Strickland was describing, she was plowing new neural pathways and being more, in her good brain.
Yes.
Healthy brain.
Just thought I'd add that in there.
Yeah, that's good. One of the things that I did not do as a child, and I did not even realize it until I did it maybe 2 years before COVID, is flying a kite. And it was so
Really?
fun. I had never flown a kite before.
I love flying kite. I had the big ones.
I was a child the last time I did that.
Yeah.
We used to have kite day. I'm originally from Abilene, Texas, so it's a little different there. But we had kite day, so I know there would be times when my grandfather or my mom would come on kite day, and I had this big 90s looking kite, and with one of those big handles, and that's like some of the funnest time, because it's just like you get to be carefree, enjoying your time. I know we also in the summertime used to have like a water balloon and water gun fight, which I think we should do that at the office.
We did that over your apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like, I love stuff like that because it's quality time, but it's not just, y'all know I'm an introvert. I ain't supposed to entertain y'all like that. But if we doing something like rigorous, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that water balloon fight was fun.
I was hurting.
The next day, I was like, I think all of us went in your apartments dripping wet.
Yep.
That makes sense.
It was fun though.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely sounds fun as an adult. I saw this meme of this guy. He was like, I went frolicking today.
Yes.
And
the guy that became famous on Twitter.
Did he?
He became Twitter famous because have y'all frolicked today?
Yeah.
I was like, I have not.
I was like, first of all, that's who's using this word.
We make up, psychologists make up their words anyway. So
true. But I was like, frolic. I mean, that's definitely on some Sound of Music stuff. But when you think about it, when was the last time you skipped? Or, really just ran wild in a field somewhere.
Like, y'all probably don't watch this show, but like Phoebe on Friends, she had this like horrible run. Her arms were just frolicking.
Oh,
so Phoebe's like a Sinclair.
Okay, because I was I've never.
If y'all need,
I know who
reference.
Friends are, but I've never watched it. So, but yeah, I can see that though. Okay.
Yeah, we got to get back to that level.
Yeah.
Or, once the pandemic over.
I know.
But we're in Texas, so. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. The next love language is receiving gifts, and that's a pretty simple cup, to the point when you like to get things from other people, whether it's a big ticket item, or if it's like somebody picking up some wildflowers outside, but the gift, it's being given to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one's like I think my number 5.
Yeah, I think this one is low on mine too.
Yeah, because I mean, while I appreciate gifts, so let me go ahead and put that disclaimer out there before this next part come out my mouth. But I really don't care. Like if I don't get a gift, like it doesn't bother me. I don't feel some kind like now I'm side eyeing you and I feel some kind of way because you didn't get me a gift.
Right.
Like it's great and I appreciate gifts and I love the people that give them to me and I often love what I get. But I would never feel like something was missing in my relationships if I didn't get a gift.
No. And I think what people have to realize with the receiving gifts, it's a tangible version of giving yourself to somebody. It's the effort that went into the gift. Now, if you just giving me gift cards to places I don't go, it really don't make nothing. But if you come like a classic thing when I was engaged and he was in the military overseas, he would like every month send me a big old thing of chocolate covered strawberries and stuff like that. I wouldn't even eat them. He don't know this, so if he listening, sorry. I wouldn't even eat them because I'd be like, oh, he thought about me, because it was just the effort. You know what I mean? It's the effort. You way somewhere else taking care of troops and all this other kind of stuff, and you thought enough about as you should, your fiance to be like, okay, let me get this to her because we still got to make our connection. Now I have 0 in this. I don't care about the gifts. I'm like Dr. Strickland, but I can be very appreciative because I love the effort.
Yeah, I'm the same. I know gifts is my last. I mean, well, I think it's maybe my like
4th
next
or
to
5th.
So it's not my top 2. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, my husband, he gives me gifts all the time, and I definitely appreciate them because they good gifts. So I definitely appreciate them.
So this is not don't stop.
Don't stop because you already done started it, so you got to keep going.
No, that's something we got to make sure we mention too. If you start something now,
don't start what you can't keep going with. So yeah, so I definitely appreciate them. But I think because his love language is not gifts either, but I think we both pay attention to each other enough. And because he's a truck driver, he's not home all
physically.
The time. Yeah, all the time. So I try to make sure I listen to something that he says he wants, because he hardly ever says it. So when he say it, I get it. So I can hear you up and catch what he said.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Hey, that makes sense.
I'm horrible at giving gifts.
You are not.
Oh yes, I am. It rarely ever comes to mind. Like I usually have to be prompted in order to get gifts for people.
But why does that make it bad?
Right.
Just because you have to be prompted.
No, because one, for me it feels like it's not observant of the people in my life that do like gifts.
I got you.
Well, we don't like them, so
Yeah.
which is good, because it's just not something that even because it's not important to me. It doesn't register like Christmas and like, okay, because I understand that those things come with gifts. Those are really the only time where it's something that it even really registers in my head.
Now, I will say it's not my love language receiving, but it is my giving.
It is my giving too.
Yeah, because I love giving gifts. Like, I just love it because I hope what my message is in giving the gift is that you know that I'm paying attention. Because like that year I gave you your microdermabrasion, the facial thing, and you didn't even realize that I paid attention to the fact that you wanted it, because she said it just in passing. So I try to give gifts instead of like, well, what you want for your birthday? I try to pay attention to something that, Dr. Strickland has said, Dr. Wall has said that they wanted, that they didn't think people were paying attention to.
That's how I got my teal blanket that I was laying up under this morning. But yeah, that's how I am as well. I like to give that to, y'all know, I done been all the way in another country and then brought y'all stuff back. I brought y'all some. Y'all was on my mind while I was gone.
Yep.
I just like to shower. I like to make people feel good. In whatever way I need to do that, I feel like I'm just going to have to do that. You know?
Me too.
Yeah, but I do feel like this one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So I think really the only one that kind of falls under that in the his needs, her needs book is going to be financial support.
Yeah, that's about the closest you're gonna come.
as far as gifts, and of course, like financial support in that sense is like being taken care of financially and stability and all of that sort of thing. So it's not exactly the same, but it is the umbrella that it can fall underneath.
So when I'm talking with couples about financial support, I try to expand that for them. It's not necessarily like you want someone to, like you said, take care of you, but like, are you guys on the same page about your retirement plan? Are you on the same page with how you spend your money
or save?
Are
invest.
Invest. Are you earning enough? Like, are you at the income level that you both want to be at?
Can you say that again?
Are you earning enough?
Yeah.
Are you earning enough? Are you at the income level that you want to be at? Are you guys in debt, and what is your plan for paying down your debt? Like, that's all part of financial support. It's not necessarily giving somebody money or being what you call it, a glucose?
No.
A glucose?
No, that was different. Gold digger.
Yeah.
Is for this one. That's for sugar baby.
Sugar babies.
Yes, but I'm saying, that's financial support is not about
that.
Yeah, I can't remember what the term you used.
Glucose guardian.
Guardian. I couldn't remember the second word.
I actually saw that on one of the medias. I was like, Dr. Wall was telling us about this.
Yeah. So financial support is not about being a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. This is about collectively together, how are you making decisions about the financial stability of your relationship?
That is true. Anything else on that one, ladies?
I think that's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one, number 4 of the love languages, is acts of services. And that's going to be like when people do things specific for you. Like, I'm notorious for not having no gas in my car, but I don't got no boo thing. Y'all know this. So I have to remind myself. So luckily T-Mobile reminds me because they have rewards. And so I remember by that way. But so when I've been in relationships, that's normally something that the guy that I'm with takes over immediately, because I'm always, I don't have no gas. But that's washing dishes or picking up after a person, or, hey, I saw that you needed this. And it's like an actual need, not just a gift. I went ahead and got it for you because I knew that was something that you needed.
I just realized that this is my husband's number one. I think he hasn't taken the test, so I'm just guessing he has not taken the test, or at least not with me. But now that I'm looking back on this is his. I think might be his number one, acts of service.
It's a lot of men's top one. It may not be top in all men, but it's
number
up
1 or 2.
This is my number one giving.
Gotcha.
My number one receiving is quality time, but I will active service you to death.
Yeah. It's my number 2, giving.
Yeah. Like, okay, so I got your uniform ready for work, or, okay, I've made sure your badge was here, or, stuff like that. So I'm a complete, active service
giver.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm that girlfriend that'll be like, babe, let's try these masks out, because he got dry skin. Come on, let's go do this together. Let's do that together. Or, hey, let's go do this. I'm always trying to better, and make his life easier for him.
Yeah. I will definitely say this is my number. I would have to even say this is my number. It depends. So with my husband, it's my number 1. With my friends, it's my number 2.
Which makes sense.
That's a good distinction.
Because they can shift depending on who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely flow between, I would say these are quality time, and this one are my top 2, giving and receiving. But I think they flip depending upon, like you said, like who I'm dealing with. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Now it's my number 4, receiving.
Gotcha.
I'd be like, I don't really need you to do nothing.
Oh no, I am all about, because the umbrella for this one is domestic support.
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Yes.
I'm all about wash them dishes.
Yeah. I think when I get one
laundry.
of those, when I get one,
I
think it'll come up.
I think mine is probably more so like cutting the grass, because I can't, and doing putting air in the tire and stuff. Like, I don't want to touch it. And putting gas in it. Like, I don't like doing gas either. So do that. Like, I think that's my acts of service or domestic part. Like, I want you to take care of the manly stuff that I don't like doing.
Yeah. I'm like household.
Yeah.
You know, like help. No, let me rephrase.
Take
Because
that
Please
out.
don't say that.
I do not like using the word help. Contribute to the household, you know, so inside, outside, you know, that we are both doing because I don't mind doing now specific parts of the grass. Let me say that. You know, I don't mind us doing the grass together, us doing the
I will garden.
Yeah,
Yes,
doing
I like
the gardening part. Well, I pretty much do that part, but but us both cooking, us both doing laundry, us both washing dishes, us both taking care of the dog. You know, like I like that type of support. So if I had to rank my his needs, her needs, this would, I'm not gonna say it's my number one, but it's definitely in my top 5.
Yeah. It's like what you were saying on one of the sessions a while back. You and your husband have broken down things into blue chore, pink chore, purple chore. Like that's a really neat way to, or you can use your favorite colors, you know, but that's a really neat way to look at it. That is acts of service, technically.
Yeah, I think for me, the household parts, like, you know, cooking, even though Rodney will cook, he mostly grills, but his favorite meal to cook is breakfast. So he will definitely cook breakfast. Yeah. So, but washing dishes, he will, if he's in the kitchen, like he might wash the breakfast dishes, which cool. I ain't gonna stop you. But I can probably count on my hand how many times he's washed clothes. But I don't know what it is about. Like, I just like to make sure he has his uniforms ready, or not uniforms because but his work clothes, you know, washed and clean. Because in one time, I do remember one time he was like, "Babe, I don't never have to worry about not having no clean, whatever Papa John's stuff he do."
I think it's training. I think we grew up in a generation of very traditional women, regardless if we had traditional mothers all the way through, because they was out there getting it too. Yeah. But they gave us very traditional values, which was, you know, take care of your man and do certain things like that. And those are still ingrained in us. Now, for me personally, because I grew up I saw that between my grandmother and my grandfather, thank God. But I also grew up with just my mom, you know, and us in that one home. And so I was very self-sufficient, very independent. So I have to like turn on a specific part of my brain and be like, oh, you're in a relationship now. So these things.
This is on you now.
Well, not on me, but allowing him
gotcha
to do it, because I don't receive, like, it's not on my receiving. It's like I have 1 point. Every time I have 1 point in
acts of service,
and I have 0 in gifts.
Oh, wow.
So like I'm heavy on the other ones, but I have to like, okay, he can do something. Yeah. He can help me because I'm just, that's the way I was trained. Like I know how to change my oil, change my tires. Like I don't really need, but I want to give the person that I'm dating space in my life. I can't just be like, I don't need you, but I want you. That don't go together.
Right.
Because I need and want you.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel that same way. I don't even remotely close worry about anything automotive at all.
Because you got your own personal mechanic.
I know.
Yeah, like at all.
Shoot, if y'all wasn't so far, I'd bring my car over there when I need something.
I did.
Yeah, so like even though it's been so long since I've had to do anything on my own related to a vehicle, like it's like I don't even remember how many miles I need in order to like change my oil or get my tires done. If I hear something, I let him know, and then that's it. I'm done.
But it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Like I have a cousin. Shout out to my cousin Jamal. He has a detailing service, and I get him to detail my car or whatever. He took my car 2 weeks ago. He done put air in my tires. He done changed my oil. I said, me.
That's that acts of service,
you know, because I'm just not, I don't think of it like that. I'm like, I just gave you the car so you could detail it and like clean it up and stuff like that. But I was like, you better be out here being a man and stuff, and you got a whole wife.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You gotta love acts of service.
Little stuff.
Yeah, it is the little stuff that count.
Yeah, there's conveniences. I mean, all kinds of things. You know, like oh man, you put my purse by the door, and you know you had my cup ready, or you have my lunch already, you know, in this little container or whatever it could be. You know, it's all, sometimes acts of services is also about making life convenient for the person that you are dealing with.
And that's why you have to be very mindful of these things, because when they stop, if they stop, the person that you were acts of servicing to, they think something is wrong.
Yeah.
Instant neglect.
Yeah. And if any of these are hard for you, I always recommend to my clients to set a reminder in your calendar, kind of similar to what Dr. Strickland was saying with her words. When she, you know, gives words to people, set a reminder. Like, you ain't got to come off the top of your head, especially if your partner is needing something in one of your areas that's lower on your list. It's not going to come second nature. Just make sure you put a little reminder in your phone.
And just because y'all have opposite lists, it doesn't mean that you're not compatible. You just have to figure out if you're willing to give them their top two.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yep. And then, did you want to say anything extra about the domestic support for his needs, her needs, or you feel good about that one?
No,
Okay.
it's about taking care about your home, not just taking care of the inside, outside, you know, aesthetics, obviously, but also structurally, you know, and how you divvy up job duties, things like that.
Yeah, you can probably even throw family commitment. It can probably go in a couple of categories because, you know, stuff be going on in the family and you need both parties present. But on to the last love language, that is physical touch. And this is another one that I was saying kind of gets a bad rap because people automatically only think about sex.
Yes.
And it ain't about the sex only. It can be the power of like the touch that you give somebody, holding hands, women putting their cold feet on, you know, their partner's leg or whatever. So, you know, it's not just about that. It's the physical reconnection to each other. A prime example of that would be, I have a lot of times when I have couples who are disconnected, I have them greet each other when they come into the home. And then they also have to tell the person bye or, you know, give a hug or something like that, because they are so disconnected physically that us trying to work on sexual therapy related stuff, they're not gonna be able to do that because they're not comfortable with each other's bodies.
Yeah, that affection is real. Like, that's how, because excuse me, that's one of the things. That's physical touch and quality time are my top two. And I know I probably drive Rodney crazy because every time he sits down, I'm just touching him.
Okay, so you're the Derek to me.
Well, he never complains. I mean, he touched me.
I hope so.
Right.
That's Derek's number one. He likes to believe his number one is quality time, but his number one is physical touch because he
do. He touch her all the time. Like if you ever watched him, he orbits around her.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
It's cute. I love it.
One time a friend of mine, we were doing something. I don't know if it was a Cupid shuffle or something. It was some weird thing we were doing at the house, at my mom's house when we were visiting one time. And my friend was like, "Girl, he just watched you the whole time." And I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah." She said, "It's so cute."
It is.
But he is physical touch, and it don't matter what kind. It can go all the way down to the horizontal polka, from all the way up to like he wants to like touch my eyebrow or something, or like my eyelashes. I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm okay with that. I mean, mine is hot. It's up there. But I did want to read something from the book on this because I thought it was like a very good point. Okay. Chapman says, "Whatever." Let me get my English together. "Whatever there is of me resides in my body. To touch my body is to touch me. To withdraw from my body is to distance yourself from me emotionally." So that's a good way to look at it. You need to have some type of connection, even if it's not your thing. So maybe touch their shoulder. Like, it don't have to be this whole overt PDA type situation, even though I welcome that, me personally.
Yeah, me too.
But
this was an area that I had to grow in, severely. We've talked a little bit about our background. So physical touch was not something that was, heavily involved in, my background. So being with a partner whose love language is they want to kiss you, they want to hug you, they want to, grab you, they want to, like, I just want to hug him and squeeze him and love him. And, you know what I'm saying? Like everything, like that's how it's like love oozes through their fingertips. So it took a lot. Like it was severely overwhelming initially, to kind of, it felt like being poked and prodded. For somebody that's not used to having someone just kind of hug them all the time, or they want to sit kind of intertwined on the couch. And, that it took some conscious effort to be like, okay, wait, get yourself together. It's okay. Chill out. So of course this has gotten ridiculously better over the years, but like initially this was a really hard part, of the early stages of our relationship and this goes back to all the stuff we've said before about paying attention to what, your partner needs and can you accommodate that at least part way. You may not ever be where they are, but you can at least give them enough so that they feel and see that you understand this is what they need.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
His needs, her needs, that's going to be, of course, sexual fulfillment. And there's another one,
affection.
So that's going to fall under, the category we were just talking about.
So what I like about his needs, her needs with this one specifically is that they separate the two, because physical affection and sexual affection are not the same.
So men, affection does not only mean sex.
No. So that's in particular why I like his needs, her needs, because you have affection, which is all of the stuff we've already described, a pat on the butt or a hand on the shoulder, a hug, a kiss, it's all of the kind of like non-erogenous types of activity. But then of course you got sexual fulfillment, which is a whole nother category within itself.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So for some people, for some men, what I need you to understand is that if your wife or significant other if this is one of her top two, one of the things she won't be able to do if you don't give her the physical part of it during the affectionate part of it during the day, it's going to be difficult for her to give sexual intimacy at night, because some women need the physical affection throughout the day. And whether it's a slap on the butt, whether it's a, I want to kiss you text or something like that, she needs something to lead her into the bedroom.
You can't be hot and cold. And this statement has stuck with me the whole time that I've been, a sex therapist. And this is not for everybody, because everybody's body is different, but this is just a general statement that I use, is that men are microwaves, women are ovens.
Oh, I usually say slow cookers.
That too. I like that one too.
Usually what I say.
So it has to preheat, and it doesn't mean that the preheat has to be long if you've been doing the things that she needed, because that's different for every person. So for me personally, my physical touch is high, but I'm also a sapiosexual. So if you're only talking to my body, you're not going to get my body. I need you to talk to my mind. I need to be intellectually stimulated before I'm physically stimulated. So anybody, this goes into, if you're not meeting each other's needs, if your focus is solely on what you're getting versus what you're giving out in the relationship, you're going to miss it. You're not going to be at a place that is healthy for both of you. It's going to be a very selfish interaction.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody got time for selfishness now?
Right.
No. I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like this one is pretty straightforward too.
Yeah.
It is.
But of course, in all this, consent I think is a major thing within this one as well.
Stay right. Consent, and stop using coercion.
And don't, just because she didn't say no does not mean she consented.
Because you still need
or
that.
He.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That is true both ways.
Yeah.
And it's not just like because someone is your partner that this person is obligated to allow you to be affectionate and or sexual towards them. This also goes into being observant and paying attention to where your partner is at the time. So if they are having a bad day, but you are interested in, kind of being affectionate / intimate / sexual, and that's just not where they are.
Yeah.
So even if that's your number one, and in a general sense, they would normally be ready and open to, kind of receiving that. If they're not in that mood, not forcing and pushing what you want onto this person.
And see, this is when the openness and honesty come in, because that's where you can have that type of conversation to let them know, hey, I had a bad day today. I know my love language is physical touch, but I just don't want to be touched right now because I have anything. And make sure you let them know if it has something to do with them or not. So that they are aware, so they don't walk away wondering like, okay, what's going on? I don't know. You have to have that open and honest type of conversation so that they can be on the same page.
Yeah, I literally had this conversation with a client earlier, and we were discussing, she's, switching up some medication, and because of that, there's side effects, and her body has to acclimate. And one of the things that she's feeling is anxiety in the mornings, due to that. And so, I gave her some suggestions and things, but the problem is one of her coping skills is to request a hug from her significant other, which, her body technically is floating when she's waking up, and her coming back into consciousness when she wakes is messing her up. So he's grounding her, but he is not able to say, I just need to ground her, and I don't need to be grinding her, because that's where his mind automatically goes. And I said, well, you need to have a conversation about it and let him know, if you can take care of my needs first, then I can initiate taking care of your needs. But don't you cross over the line, because you don't know if I'm good yet. And I said, if you can make the commitment to him to do that, then it works out for both parties. But if y'all are not communicating that and not reading the room, it's going to be a problem every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've been talking about this the whole time. Ladies, you want to go and share like what your top love languages are and all that good stuff?
Yeah, my top 2 are quality time and physical touch.
My top 2 are quality time and acts of service.
So I got a 3-way tie.
Of course.
10, 9, 8. Like literally 10, 9, 8. So my top one currently is physical touch, quality time, and then words of affirmation.
Yeah. My third was words of affirmation. I can't remember my numbers, but it was definitely third. And then was physical touch and gift giving. Was my last.
I think my third was acts of service. My fourth was gift giving, and I can't. Maybe my fifth one was words of affirmation. I don't know. I can't remember that one. I don't know where that one falls, but I do know my top 2 is quality time and physical touch.
Yeah. So that's just proof, y'all. Women can want physical touch, and in fact, I think women probably think about it a lot more than y'all think.
Oh.
Probably.
Yes. Yes.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yep. Do y'all have any suggestions for people who are struggling to give love or to receive love when it comes to the 5 love languages or his needs, her needs?
My first off the top is, are you actually operating in the one that is true to you? That's first.
Yeah.
Because if you're operating out of the one that you think works or the one you think you want, then you're all, like we talked about last session about how you're viewing the world and what lens you're, looking at things through. This applies to that as well. So if I'm not operating in the one that's true to me, I'm going to be looking at the love that I receive from others in a skewed way.
Yeah.
I would have to say, make sure you're ready. And what I mean by that is, if you can't give yourself your own your own love, then you won't be able to give it to someone else. So if your top one is quality time, then spend some quality time with yourself. Before I got married, I used to go out to eat, go to movies, all of that stuff by myself. Because if I can't spend time with me, won't nobody else want to spend time with me either.
And you don't know what you like.
I love going to the movies by myself.
Yes.
Y'all
Both.
know I will wander by myself. But a practical thing, and we've all said this, and this is something that I feel people don't do. Go take the dang test.
Yes.
Like, the test there
Start off
for you.
there.
Like, why are you trying to guesstimate what it is when you can just go take the test? Stop being lazy and knowing it all, because I know what I am. How did you write this material? You researched it. You Gary Chapman. Stop it. So go take the test, get the information, and figure it out. Because like we said, when you take the test, it is going to tell you what you like to receive. You may still have to figure out what you like to give, though.
And ask the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how have you seen me exhibit love to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because people, if you give them an opportunity, some people will really let you know.
Yeah.
They'll let you know where you're lacking, and then they'll let you know what you've been doing well in. Now, if you do this
Be
is
open to receive it.
This is where you got to go into the his needs, her needs area. You got to be ready and open to receive that kind of honesty from somebody. Because if you're not, it will tear you to shreds.
Don't be like Officer Nicole wasn't ready for Noni's words.
Okay.
So don't do that.
Yeah, I agreed. Okay. Anything else, ladies?
I think that's it.
All right. So as you guys know, we normally end off every session with a quote. And today's quote is brought to you by Rob Liano. And it goes, "If you don't know what you want, you'll never find it. If you don't know what you deserve, you'll always settle for less. You will wander aimlessly, uncomfortably numb in your comfort zone, wondering how life has ended up here. Life starts now. Live, love, laugh, and let your light shine."
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at the RePsychled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.